Okay, so this activity is being made for my fifth grade classroom. Our next unit coming up is graphing, and in graphing, under the Common Core standards, specifically the fifth grade geometry standard, it's using a pair of perpendicular number lines called axes to define a coordinate system with the intersection of lines arranged to coincide with the zero on each line and a given point in the place located by using an ordered pair of numbers. So with that standard being said, I am going to be utilizing the Scratch program, which, as you can see on the screen, is an activity that has already been made, and I'm going to be using this activity um, for its content, but the students will be putting their own twist on it. They're going to be creating a coding project using a similar idea to this project. After being introduced, of course, to graphing and becoming familiar with the four quadrants, the x and the y axis, and coordinates and ordered pairs. So this is kind of an activity for them to represent what they have learned and to show me what they have grasped from graphing. So in this game, they're going to be in the game that they're going to be creating. It does involve plotting points on a graph, and this particular activity involves a game of catch. As you can tell, right here we have our character Jamal. They can also pick from different characters. They can be a grandma, or they can be a spaceship. Um, and so for this particular activity, again, they're going to be playing a game of catch, and the player has to plot the given ordered pair correctly. And up here is where you're going to be putting the ordered pair yourself, or at least the player is. So the little character is going to move to a given point, and you have to plot it correctly with the x and the y. And once you're done plotting it, you're going to throw the ball, and if you plotted it correctly, then the character will catch the ball. But if you don't plot it correctly, the ball would just be thrown in the wrong area, and then you get a chance to try again. But for my students, what I do like about this activity is that if the player does graph incorrectly, the ball still gets thrown to the point that they graphed, so they can see what mistakes they made, and they have a chance to correct their x and the y. As for my students, rather than a game of catch, they will be using their own personal interests. So they will be using the idea of the graph as the background in order to be able to plot the points, but they're going to put their own creative twist to it. So, for example, um, maybe the ordered pair could be leading to a path of donuts. I mean, it's really just going to be whatever interests the students, and that's going to be their creative twist to the game. So I'm going to play as Jamal. And I kind of want you to be able to see what is going to be expected of the students. So right here, Jamal's hand, that's where we're going to be throwing the ball to. And so we have the x-axis, which is -9. And then we have the y-axis, which is 9. So we're going to move it so it gets thrown to the correct place. And if I plotted that correctly, then this ball right here will be thrown to Jamal.
Good job. Let's keep playing.
And then once you have plotted it correctly, then he moves to a different point, and you just keep doing that. So for example, here we have -5 is our x and -2. So -5, we're going to change it, and -2.
Good job. Let's keep playing.
And I kind of want you to be able to see what it looks like. So if a student does get it wrong, so let's say they accidentally plot it at 0, 7. And the ball gets thrown to the place that they plotted it to, of course. And they then can see, oh, I see where I did it wrong. So my X is supposed to be the 7, and then the Y is the 0. So in with that being said, to be able to assess them on how their game is created, not only on creativity, but of course on the content. I will be looking at each coding activity and assess their abilities to create ordered pairs. I will also be looking to see if their game plots each ordered pair correctly. This will help me determine whether or not they understand what a coordinate plane is, how to plot using the x and the y axis, so on and so forth. So that's going to be just a fun adventure to be able to see what each student has come up with. And of course, this activity is going to be done with a lot more coding practice and just getting used to making different codes because I know when I um, was trying to make my own game, it was a bit challenging. But with practice, it became easier and easier. So, with the UDL in mind, as far as representation goes, the varied supports that I will be providing the students are the lessons beforehand, the abilities to plot on paper first. I'm going to be presenting the content using different videos. I utilize LearnZillion and Khan Academy a lot. I also use BrainPop. Then for them to be able to express what they have learned, they're going to be different options. So, of course, this is going to be the big project that they're going to be turning in to express what they have learned throughout the unit. So, I'm going to be utilizing this activity more so as the end of the unit project. And then as far as the engagement piece goes, coding is a huge deal with that for them. They get super excited even talking about it. The hour code was a huge hit. So this whole creativity piece and just being able to choose what they're interested in, hopefully will engage them and get them to buy into the content and the coding activity. Then there's the TPAC model. So I chose my activity to be under the technological content knowledge. Um, Here, my technology integration, which is the coding program, really influences the graphing and the content because it allows them to have a deep understanding of the content. So here's my activity. Um, the Scratch program was free, and it's honestly there's so many different activities that you can watch beforehand, and it helps you just get an idea of what this program is capable of. All right, thank you.